See you at the crossroads. Welcome to Race Talk Show. This is your virtual big brother, Ray Collazo. For those super talented and service-oriented people that feel like they're in the crossroads of life and looking for a community that's going to help them find wealth in their voice while also experiencing personal satisfaction, you've come to the right place. This is your virtual big brother, Ray Collazo. I love the stars on Mevi. I love whoever that is. Thank you so much. We super appreciate you on Mevi, and of course on Blab. We're simulcasting here. Let me see if I can get our Mevi people a little closer to the action. Thank you so much for joining us here on Mevi. Super appreciate it. This is your virtual big brother, Ray Collazo. I do Race Talk Show every Tuesday and Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And again, we help super talented and service-oriented people find wealth in their voice. And the reason I started initially as a podcast, Race Talk Show, is that through my work, I knew some and continue to know so many amazing, what I call rays of light around the country, people that are super talented, service-oriented, want to do the right thing, just want to spread their wings, just want to do the damn thing, and feel like they're like cage birds and feel like they just don't have the outlet, have the resource, have the platform, have the ability, have the support to just do their thing, service more people, and really be 100% of who they are every moment of their life. And that's why we have the Race Talk Show experience. And again, whatever platform we're on, whether social media, live streaming platforms like Mevi, on Blab, where we have the live interaction, which we love, or on Race Podcast, and we appreciate everyone listening to every platform of Race Podcast, Race Talk Show. And again, you can check us out at bigbrotherray.com for all of our content. On today's show, on the live version, we're competing against the results of Super Tuesday, and when I turn off the recording, I think I'll discuss our political stuff. But my views, which is como decía español, bien controversial, so we'll see how that goes. But maybe we'll transition to that conversation later. But I wanted to talk about in the beginning of the show today, and really the main purpose of this episode of Race Talk Show is really to discuss the crossroads of life. And one of the things that I see, I feel, I see it when I'm talking to people literally every day. I have this conversation, I feel multiple times a day, is that our network of friends and family and super talented and service-oriented people want to do the right thing for people and just want to show their stuff, is they feel like they're in this crossroads. Many of them are mid-career professionals. Many of them are relatively successful in their careers and have hit a point in their personal life, or in their career, in their mid-career, where they feel like they're at a crossroads. They feel something is nagging at them, and we're going to talk later in the show about what may have precipitated that feeling. Something's nagging them. Something is calling on them to make a choice, or feel like they have to change a direction, get off the exit of the highway and get on a small road, or get on the entrance ramp of life, truly. And they feel like they're at a crossroads. They feel stuck. And we're going to talk about that feeling, talk about what may be causing that emotion, and ultimately, what are in this case, we're going to discuss in this episode, the six keys to handling that crossroad. How do you truly take advantage and embrace that crossroad in your life to truly change your life in a fundamental way? And so what I want to start this version of Race Talk Show, and again, we really appreciate in particular everyone on the Blab platform checking us out, and would encourage people to come on the show if they have a particular crossroad or cross they feel like they're bearing that we can assist you with, and we can begin that conversation and continue that conversation and support you. And again, in the Mevi community, you certainly can chime in as well, and also continue to let us know how you feel about this conversation, how we can be helpful to you. If, again, you can always check us out on Twitter at Race Podcast, and email us podcastraise@gmail.com. That's podcastraise@gmail.com. If you don't feel, or if you're not in a position to address it publicly, but you'd like some support with your crossroad, we're here for you, no doubt, here in the Big Brother Ray community. And again, later in the show, we're going to get into the six keys to really beginning to address that crossroad, embrace that crossroad for the blessing that it is. And we're going to talk about why I feel so passionately that it's a blessing. And in particular, the two main keys. I mean, the two fundamental things that you need to do for the crossroads in your life to truly be what it's meant there to be, really be a life-changing experience. And it's really how you embrace it that is going to dictate what it means for you in your life fundamentally. But first, I want to get into a little bit what causes this feeling of crossroads. Hey, Vanessa, feel free to jump on. Would appreciate the company here on Mevi as well. Hey, girl, feel free to jump on talking about the crossroads. In the beginning of what I want to talk about here before we get into our fundamentals, the six fundamentals of embracing the crossroads of your life. I want to talk about where it comes from, because to be able to take advantage of this opportunity to grow and to enrich yourself personally and enrich others personally, ultimately what it's about, you have to understand where this comes from. And so, there may be versions of this, but I think they kind of come from four different places, these crossroads. One, which is sort of the least scary, is sort of an opportunity. It comes from an unexpected opportunity, one you didn't necessarily plan, or maybe you planned, but now it's come at you. You kind of were going down the path you expected, or at least the one you are currently on, and an opportunity has come in front of you. Maybe it's a job opportunity you didn't expect. Maybe it's an option within the company that you work in. Maybe you're choosing between a couple of schools to go to. Maybe you're choosing between potential new jobs. Maybe you thought you were going to be single for a while, but all of a sudden there's someone new in your life that has caught your eye. This is usually sort of a kind of a positive crossroad, because you don't feel like there's necessarily anything to lose, but more something to gain. So but those can be scary too, because again, it's unexpected, and we wonder why this is now in our path. And so I encourage us to kind of think about, as you're thinking about this crossroad that's in your life, is it coming from an unexpected opportunity? And it's very important to sort of identify, where this crossroad's coming from. Another area where where these crossroads come in our life is they come from a flame up from a long, slow burn. There's been a flicker of a nag in the back of your mind for some time. Hey, Felix, ¿cómo está, hermano? Thank you, Vanessa and Felix, for joining it again. Always better to be with friends than that can join us in the conversation. ¿Cómo está, hermano? Your state spoke tonight, Felix, but that's politics. We'll talk about that after we stop recording. But your states, I hope you voted today, Felix. But anyway, there's a flicker in your mind that then becomes a slow burn, and now it's a flame, and it's a burning desire to address something, even if you're not quite sure where it comes from or what it is. You just know it's there, and this crossroad now has presented itself, even though on some level it's been there for quite some time. But you feel like, for whatever reason, it's time to address it. It's kind of come to the point where it cannot be ignored anymore. And so that's in many ways what occurred to me in my life, where I felt in the beginning of 2013, about 3 years ago at this point, that this nagging notion, which had been in my heart basically since childhood, finally had to be addressed. And that's the birth of Race Talk Show. And so that's another element of a symptom of where this crossroads comes from in your life. The other one's a wake-up call. It's not literally or figuratively life and death stuff, but it's a stumble. But it's definitely a wake-up call. It could have been maybe a not very good work review. It could have been an unexpected failure. It could have been just sort of a setback, minor car accident, a relationship gone sour unexpectedly. Again, nothing that you feel is a crisis necessarily, or you feel you can't handle, but it's just an unexpected turn of events, or a stumble, or in some level of failure, a shortcoming, a challenge, however you want to manifest itself, but it's giving you pause. and you feel like on some level it's a sign of something, but you're just not sure what it is. And so I consider that definitely kind of a wake-up call moment. And they manifest themselves in many ways. And so, but that's another moment where it could lead to a feeling of a crossroads moment. How are you going to handle this stumble? What does this stumble mean? Do you need to reevaluate your either work, personal, or all the above situations? Because this is something that's unexpected, and ultimately it's a moment that challenges the path that you're currently on some level. And then the other sort of symptom, or the other sort of major area of life that causes a feeling of a crossroad is a crisis moment. Sort of on the sad extreme, a loss of a loved one unexpectedly, or a illness, or another, sort of personal tragedy, or something maybe not less grave, but sort of life-changing, something like, being fired or being laid off unexpectedly, or the loss of a relationship, a divorce, a breakup, a family drama. The kind of things that really sort of shake the foundation of your life and cause you to really question everything, much less a career direction or a life direction. Really question everything. It's more than a wake-up call. It's something that shakes the foundation of your life. And so I just wanted to kind of lay out kind of those scenarios, because it's very important as you address, and this is essentially kind of the first step in embracing a crossroads, handling a crossroads, taking advantage of a crossroads moment, is that you really have to kind of acknowledge where it comes from. Is it a slow burn? Is this something that really has kind of been around for a while, that you're sort of finally having to, have you been on a crossroad and you're sort of just finally acknowledging that exists in your life? Was it a tragedy, whether expected or you somewhat were able to prepare for it? Just ultimately, you never can prepare fully for those kinds of extreme cases. Is it a wake-up call? Is it a stumble? Is it a failure? You didn't perform in a task you expected. You had an unexpected twist in a relationship. Is one of your kids struggling in school unexpectedly, or having a behavioral issue that, again, it's not figuratively or literally life or death, but it's a stumble, and it's something that concerns you and has brought up a crossroads moment. Or is it an opportunity, kind of the most optimistic of the levels? Something, an unexpected opportunity. You were kind of going along day by day, and all of a sudden this popped up, and you're trying to figure out kind of where it fits in the grand scheme of things. I'm going to discuss in a second, in my feeling of sort of the 6 keys to embracing that crossroads, handling that crossroads, and really taking full advantage of this moment in your life. But first, I'm going to sign off with the Mevi community. For those on Blab, I've been simulcasting on Mevi at the same time. For those not familiar with Mevi, it's one of the newest, hottest live streaming platforms, which I like to use because it's sort of has its own inbred community, like Periscope as well. But I actually will probably do part 2 on Periscope. How about that? Let's do that. We'll give everybody some love. But I wanted to start this part of the show on Mevi and the Mevi community. I really appreciate the stars. We got some love, particularly in the beginning of the live stream on the Mevi side. We're going to continue the show on Blab. We're going to get into, so those on Mevi that want to hear what are these 6 keys to embracing this crossroads of your life, just get on the Mevi Blab platform. Go to blab.im/race podcast and just join the show. We're having a great time here and with our friends talking about embracing and taking full advantage of the crossroads of our life. And I would encourage Felix and Vanessa and others watching to please let people know in your social media networks on Facebook and Twitter that we're on here. Definitely want more people to hear this message and hopefully be part of this conversation. And for those on the Mevi platform, thank you again so much for joining us. Gotta give a little love to the Mevi crowd. Check us out on blab.am/race podcast. Hear more about what I feel are sort of the 6 keys, and particularly the first 2, which I think are fundamental to taking full advantage of embracing the crossroads of your life to change your life. Again, this is your virtual big brother, Ray Collazo. If you're on the crossroads of life, you're like, well, I've done so much. And most people think I'm doing just fine, but there's something in the back of my head that feels like I'm a cage bird. I got to break out of this. I got to bust out. I got to fly. I got to fly south to the winter. I got to do my thing and do something, even though it sounds crazy in my head, and I think it'll sound crazier when I share people. Let me tell you something, you're not crazy. There's a reason it's here, people. And the Big Brother Ray community, and I'm here on a very personal level for all of you. So you can just break out of it and understand that, you weren't meant to live in this perpetual mental purgatory. You're here to fly, you're here to do your thing and service an incredible amount of people. You just have no idea what you'll be able to accomplish. If you just let it go a little bit, embrace the crossroads, take some chances, trust, have faith, and all the things that we're going to talk about in a moment on the live version of Ray's Talk Show. Thank you so much, MeV community. We're going to turn on the Periscope community to join this conversation in a moment. Have a wonderful day. Peace. So Vanessa and Felix, just give me a second. I'm going to just jump on Periscope. But if y'all want to join, I'm down. I'm actually going to pause the recording. Just give me a second to we're back here on Ray's Talk Show. This is your virtual Big Brother Ray Collazo. We appreciate everyone listening and watching us on the Blab and Periscope. You know I'm down with the scope, y'all. This is your virtual Big Brother Ray Collazo. Again, for those super talented and service-oriented people who are just trying to find wealth in their voice while having personal satisfaction, you've come to the right place. We don't want to do bad by people here. We don't want to, sell poison to our kids. We don't want to do anything that goes against our values. Actually, we just want to use our talents and skills and our gifts to service more people. And that's what Ray's Talk Show community is about. And today we're talking about the crossroads of life. And I feel like I've had this conversation 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day with various people in our Ray's Talk Show community about feeling like they're on this crossroads. Hi, Rashawn. Thank you for joining us on Periscope. They feel like those crossroads. They feel like they should be doing something. There's something else in their lives, even though they're relatively successful people. They have much to be thankful for, but they just know there's something else more for them. They feel like they've hit a career wall, a glass ceiling. They're in a cage. They've hit a fork in the road. However you want to couch it, and they're just looking for a sign of which way to go down in this crossroad. Which way to go down? There's like 2, 3, 4 roads they could go, and what do they do? So we talked at the beginning of the show about kind of what causes it, whether it's a personal crisis or just a more minor wake-up call, a slow burn. It's kind of like something that's been nagging at you, and you're finally kind of paying attention to it and it has to be addressed at this point, or just an opportunity that you weren't expecting. And you're trying to figure out, what do I do now? So we're here for you, and really want to talk about the 6, I think, fundamental mechanisms that will help you embrace this crossroad, because this crossroad is actually an incredible blessing that you need to embrace, take on head on. But there's certain fundamental principles that you need to address, embrace, be part of that journey, be part of that process as you make life's decisions. The first one is, and again, the first 2 are just so fundamental. But I have 6 here that I'd like to discuss. And again, anyone wants to join the show, jump on. Felix, Vanessa, or anyone else that's watching. And again, it'd be great if you could promote it on your social media platform so we can have a few more people be part of this. And we'd like to actually talk to people if they feel like they're on the crossroads of life. If you're on Periscope and you want to ask us a question, we can certainly try to address it on the show, and as well as have a conversation on Blab. So I think the first fundamental principle of kind of how do you handle crossroads in your life is that you have to understand there's a purpose to them. This crossroad is not, sort of a mental tease, for the heck of it. There's a purpose to this crossroad. There's a reason. This is not an unnecessary crossroad in your life. On some level, it's absolutely necessary. You don't know why it's necessary now. I don't know why it's necessary at this moment. I can't predict these things. I can't foretell, but ultimately it's absolutely necessary, because you wouldn't be going through this anxiety, you wouldn't be going through this angst, you wouldn't be experiencing this crossroads if it didn't have a purpose. So you have to understand, as you're going through this anxiety, going through this decision-making, going through this weighing your options, going through this challenge, you have to understand there's a purpose to it. So when you understand and you're grounded that there's a purpose to this crossroad, Then you don't run away from it. You don't hide from it. You don't, peek and make sure it's gone so you can run away from it. You don't turn off the lights. You embrace it, even though it's scary, even though it's difficult, even though it's challenging, even though you don't know which way to go. You have to embrace the crossroad, because ultimately it's going to steer you in the right direction. It's going to steer you into something, even though you don't understand why now, into something bigger and better for you in your life, and into an area in your life that you now need to go for whatever reason, out of necessity, out of the need. It's going to force you to sort of grow personally. It's going to force you to go down a path that, while seems scary, is going to lead to bigger and better opportunities. Even though if it leads to failure or failures, it's going to ultimately lead to bigger and better opportunities. And again, I repeat the story that my greatest failures have led to my greatest successes, whether it was in politics or in my personal life or in other other elements of my spiritual life and my family life. The struggles have led to the strength. So again, the first, I should say, principle of addressing, embracing, and really taking full advantage of this crossroad that's taking place in your life is to understand there's a purpose to it. This is not just like some cruel exercise that God or the spirits or the universe is imparting on you. It's very purposeful in its reasoning. The second thing, which I think is probably the most fundamental for my money, you may disagree, people may disagree, we can talk about that. The most fundamental element of a crossroads in your life is to understand it's not really a crossroad, or it's not a totally mysterious crossroad. What I would suggest is, for most crossroads, that sometimes it really is kind of like a coin flip thing, right? So something like, which, two relatively, intriguing or good job offers, and you're sort of picking one over the other, and they sort of have relatively similar pros and cons. Or do I go to grad school, or do I keep the job? Do I date the hot one or the smart one that's just really cute? I mean, those are relatively, those are kind of crossroad coin flip moments. You'll learn something out of either way, and they just have their pros and cons. But truly, for most crossroads, the ones you're going to have anxiety about, I would suggest most times it's not that it's a crossroad that is totally mysterious. What I would suggest is that you are indeed in front of two choices. You are indeed in front of two roads, but you know which road to go down, or which road you want to go down, or which road is tugging you or has been presented to yourself. That's why you're having a crossroad in the first place. That's why you're having this problem, because you're kind of going down a path already day to day, right? Right? Periscope, right? You're going down a path. And now this other tertiary exit ramp, or, this other lane has popped up. You're trying to figure out what that's there for. So whether it's where you're at or another direction, I would suggest you kind of know which way is pulling at you. I look at it as that it's not that it's a crossroad that you're struggling with, is that the way you want to go, the way you got to go, the way that's kind of tugging at you to go, the way that has now cropped up in your life and you don't know what it means, that direction, that veering, or that staying straight, has a toll on it. It's got a toll bridge on it. It's got a price on it. And it's not that you don't know that that's the way you got to go. You just don't know how you're going to pay that toll. Did I leave Easy Pass at home? Do I have change? Do they take debit cards? Shit, do I have any money? I'm broke. So I would suggest that if you're in front of a crossroads in your life, really be honest with yourself and really take stock in, is it truly like a true, which occasionally happens, truly a crossroads where it's like they both have pros and cons, and it's really hard to decipher, like, what is the compelling reason to choose one or the other? day-to-day decisions. A crossroad in your life is when you got two roads to go down, and the one that you kind of know in the back of your mind is the way you got to go, but it looks scary because that road doesn't look like it's that very lit, and you've never been down that way, and you left your phone at home so you don't have your GPS with you, and you already got a battery. You don't know if there's a gas station on that road, but ultimately, so that road may look scarier, but ultimately it's not that, but you know that's the way to go, but there's a big toll in front of it, and you don't know how you're going to pay for it. So I would suggest that really being honest with yourself and defining what that crossroad really means in your life is really probably the most fundamental element of this conversation. And I'd love to hear what people think about that. Again, if people on the web want to join in, I'd love for them to join in. I got all my buddies on here, and we super appreciate you being part of this conversation. And again, you can disagree with me. That's fine. We can have that conversation. Again, people in the Periscope community, we appreciate our scopers. And if you like this kind of conversation here on Ray's Talk Show, you can always check us out on Blab Live, boy, every Tuesday and Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Or check out all of our content, whether it's the replay of the video shows, the podcast, or occasional live streams on different various platforms, including Scope, kind of bonus coverage. You can check it all out at BigBrotherRay.com. BigBrotherRay.com. And again, if you're down with the podcast in particular, we'd really super appreciate a review on iTunes or just subscribing to us on iTunes or Stitcher, anywhere you can check out a podcast and check out all of our homies at podcasts, which once you subscribe to Ray's podcast, we'll let you know about. So, and again, so we've talked about two, I think, of the critical foundations of addressing a crossroads. The first being understanding this crossroads has a purpose. It's not an exercise in pain. It's not a fruitless exercise. It's truly going to change your life. You just have to embrace the purpose of it, even though you may not understand its purpose or its meaning right at this moment. The second thing is to understand this crossroad is most likely not a true crossroad, even though that does happen on occasion. Usually with less serious or less fundamental issues in your life. They're usually more day-to-day decisions. But most likely this isn't a crossroads. You've encountered a toll bridge, a toll on the road, and you're not sure. You're just kind of scared to go that way because you're not sure if you got the exact change. You just don't know how to handle this toll that's come into your life, whether it's expected, kind of knew it was coming, but now it's in front of you. The sign's there, exit only, and now you got to make that call. Do you have the strength to and do it? Because you don't know what to expect. You've never been down that road. The third thing I'd like to discuss as it relates to handling the crossroads, and again, would love feedback, is that I think there's kind of three other ways of, and this is the beginning, hopefully, of other conversations about it. I think there's three things you want to think about as you're thinking about the crossroads in your life. The first one is, if you're really kind of considering plan, A or B, one of the things I always think is found helpful is which option, which path, which road, whether it's got a toll on it or not, is going to lead you to help more people, service more people, impact more people. It's kind of like the only thing that matters at the end of the day in life is how many people you helped and touched, and how deeply did you touch them and help them. And really beyond that, what else is there, right? And so as you're thinking about these crossroads, that's a real fundamental way of guiding yourself. It's like, how am I going to, even if it doesn't seem obvious, in the way you think about it. Well, for example, what would, as you would say, what would going back to school, how would that service more people? Well, school most likely provides you personal and career opportunities you currently don't have, which elevate your platform to help more people. It's a way of thinking about it, right? So that's a pro and a con, right? On a very personal level, the thinking about, it's kind of real fundamental, but thinking about a process my wife and I went through several years ago of adoption. It's ultimately had a lot of pain to it, and is, trying to adopt somebody in this country. My God, talk about headaches and bureaucracy. But ultimately, there was no more the pain of it and the sacrifice of it paled in comparison to, the impact in this particular case, in this one young man's life, our son and our oldest son, and all the people that he's touched in his life through us. Us being the ones most impacted. I always tell people he's the one that did us the favor. As when I think about kind of how he's impacted our lives and the lives of so many people. And I know people that follow me on Facebook just see the energy and the life of my sons, and I know they give people a lot of joy. Just those cute pictures, cute little videos I put up in social media. That's just one small example of the impact that they've been in our lives. So as you're thinking about this crossroad, these life-changing decisions, think about what's going to help you serve more people. That's a good barometer for the direction you should go. The second one is, as you're thinking about, or the fourth principle, I guess, technically, that you should have top of mind as you're in the crosses of life is what's going to help you grow. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to lead to success. See, a lot of times people equate a success, immediate success, whether it's financial, personal, career, with growth. Growth may entail failure. Actually, it will lead to failure and trial and error. But that's not what the point is. The point is that ultimately, you're not going to grow as a person and lead to the greater successes in the larger platform and the amount of people you're going to serve, and truly be at your best in your life and have the best life you were meant to have if you don't grow. And so whether it's a tree, whether it's a living thing, whether it's ourselves on a very personal level, we're not going to be truly who we are unless we grow. I every 10 years or so, I see my best friend from elementary school. And every time I see him, I realize, wow, we've gone in very different directions in life. He's not a bad guy. He's a good guy. I don't think, we see each other. It's a warm moment, but just really thinking about, how, it's just grown apart, and I guess we both kind of know it because we don't keep in touch with every 10 years. But, it just kind of speaks to the fact that we're not who we were 5 years ago, 20 years ago, last week. We're always in that process of growing, and we have to do that. So when we're thinking about the crossroads of life, what's going to sort of expedite this growth in our maturation and getting closer to the kind of people we want to be? Hey, C Val on Periscope. We're talking about embracing the crossroads in life and what we need to do to truly embrace these opportunities in our life to grow and be the people we ultimately need to be, and not be scared off by understand there's a purpose to our crossroads. So if you have any questions or thoughts about it, feel free to chat with us. So, the growth may lead you in a very different path. It may have you in a different life direction career-wise. It may lead to new relationships, scary relationships, changing the types of people you hang around, your networks. But ultimately, you got to ask yourself, is this path going to lead me same old, stuck? Or is this path going to help me move in the direction I want to and grow as a person? And that's going to most likely be pretty obvious to you. The fifth element or foundation of sort of embracing the crossroads of life I want to discuss on this edition of Ray's Talk Show is, kind of fundamental. Hey, how are you on Periscope? Is what's the right thing to do? I mean, just kind of on a very ethical, moral level, what's the right thing to do? Is the right thing to lash out at a loved one because you're pissed off? Or is the right thing to take a breath and try to figure out another way to handle this? Is the right thing to do a career opportunity that, maybe is more financially lucrative, but you wouldn't be able to live with yourself at night because it ethically is against who you're about? Or do you find another alternative to that? So it sounds very simple because it is. But again, when you ask yourself kind of these fundamental questions, it's amazing how life's crossroads don't seem so confusing. And again, going back to principle 2 of this conversation, of the foundations of how to embrace a crossroad in your life, I would submit for you to consider that most likely it's not that you don't that this is really a crossroads is that you are now confronted with an option and a path that has a big toll sign on it. And it's not that you don't know whether you need to go try to get through that toll or not. It's that you don't know how you're going to do it. And so because you're not going to do it, you're sort of wondering, should I be going down that road to begin with? In another episodes of Race Talk Show and other conversations, we address those things, whether it's overcoming fear, finding resources, finding a community of people to support you through those trying times. But ultimately, the question is, do you want to grow? Do you want to get out of this cage? Do you want to express yourself in a way that you feel you're truly called to do? Do you want to service more people? Do you really want to find wealth in your voice? Not just make a few more dollars, but really find wealth in your voice. And what do they say? There's rich people and there's wealthy people, right? I mean, you deserve to be wealthy. All the talent, man. Just the squad I got, just my friends, all deserve 8-9 figures, no doubt about it. And I know Felix will give me a clap for that one. So again, it sounds very fundamental, but just really think about what's the right thing to do as you're thinking about the crossroads that you have come across in your life. And the last thing I'd like to discuss as sort of a principle for how do you embrace this challenge, this crossroad in your life that's been presented to you again. And we talked about earlier in the show, whether it's from a personal crisis, just an opportunity you weren't expecting, a slow burn, something that's nagging now that's like front and center. It's flickered up and now it's a flame that you got to squash, you got to get past somehow. Or it's just a setback. It's a unexpected setback in your life, an unexpected failure or challenge that you don't feel it's life and death, but you gotta deal with it. And so the last thing I would say is that no matter what the challenge, no matter what the crossroad, which feels so fundamental to you, one thing you absolutely cannot do is go through it alone. And so you have to realize that the answer, oftentimes the people that care about you most have the answer and can see things about you that you can't see about yourself. It's amazing through this journey that through really reinventing myself, and it's been so rewarding to prove to myself I can reinvent myself, in this case from a day job that focuses on organizing and politics in service to sort of online media and using these platforms to express a message which has political elements to it, but ultimately is a deeper message about how to tap into the immense greatness that resides in you and how to find wealth in your voice in a way that really leads to true personal satisfaction. And so, don't go it alone. Again, in the last few days, I've had several conversations about my personal crossroads and how to address them, and also helping people. Hey, Durham Skywriter, how are you? Great to see you here on Blab. Talking about the crossroads of life. And we've been talking for a little bit, but certainly you're welcome to join. And I really feel very powerful that don't feel like you're going alone. Oftentimes, we have these conversations on social media, and one of the reactions we get from people is, well, I'm going through the same thing, or I'm going through something very similar. Oh, I felt like I was the only one. Well, part of the reason you felt like you were the only one is you kept it inside. And you may be scared to share the crossroads or share the fundamental thing because you feel embarrassed because you feel like, wow, I should kind of have my stuff together. Or you feel embarrassed because you don't feel like you know the answer and you feel kind of stupid because, wow, I should know the answer. Or you feel like, people aren't going to get it. People aren't going to get what's your issue because they either feel like your crossroad is fine. They have a vested interest in you staying on the same beaten path. You know how that goes. Or they just don't understand why you're going through this. Or it's a personal thing and it's hard to figure out how to share it. And I would just suggest that whether it's through, prayer, meditation, speaking to someone that's there for you in a confidential manner, whether it's a member of the clergy or a therapist, counselor, nothing like that everything is fine. That's fine too. Or most likely you have someone that personally or professionally that can help you, that can just kind of be a mirror to yourself to reflect what you're going through and to sort of see the toll bridge. It's not that you don't know where to go. It's you're not sure if you got the easy path. There's no easy solution. There's no easy path for this road. You got to find exact change. You got to get, Canadian currency. This is going to be a pain in the butt to get to this toll, but, everything good has a price. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted you all to think about that as you think about life's crossroads. And again, we really appreciate everyone watching and listening and engaging in this episode of Ray's Talk Show. This is your virtual big brother, Ray Collazo. You can check out this and every episode of Ray's Talk Show on our website, bigbrotherray.com. We do the show as a live video stream every Tuesday and Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific on the Blab platform. If you're not down with the Blab, y'all, you got to check out this Blab. Let me stop the broadcast here on Periscope. You got to check out the Blab. It's an incredible platform. And again, we really appreciate the people that listen to the show as a podcast. And please rank and review us. It definitely helps getting more exposure to the show and getting more exposure for our Ray's Talk Show community. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Let me know. And again, for people watching Blab, we're going to turn off the recording and maybe talk about politics or anything else you want to discuss. But for those listening to the show, whether on video or audio, again, thank you so much for listening to Ray's podcast. If you're going through a crossroads of life and you'd like to discuss it or just kind of share your experience, how you've handled it, what you think about kind of how I couched this conversation, how crossroads come into your life, and also how about what I propose is sort of the 6 fundamental principles of how to embrace the crossroads of your life, and you want to have a conversation about it, again, you can email me directly, podcastrays@gmail.com. That's podcastrays@gmail.com, as well as check us out. You know, we're very social on social media. There's no question about it. It's 2 of my favorite things coming together, like peanut butter and jelly, social media. You can check us out on Twitter. That's where probably we're the most active. You can check us out at Ray's Podcast, but anywhere you can find Ray's Podcast on Facebook or the live stream platforms like Periscope or Mevi, and I'm also on LinkedIn as well. So definitely check us out. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Ray's Talk Show. And again, if you're going through the crossroads of life, I would remind you to, first of all, really take stock in where this crossroads came from, and really take stock in thinking about what are these fundamentals that I've shared with you today with the Ray's Talk Show community about, how to truly embrace this crossroad. It is for a purpose. And it is most likely not so much a crossroad, but a toll bridge. You just don't know how to get through. And we'll have many more conversations about how to address that practically. Do the right thing. Think about how you're going to serve more people as you deliberate on these decisions. And do not go through it alone. That is the most painful thing, when you feel like you have to go through these crossroads in your life, these most important fundamental decisions that are really going to dictate the path of your life. When you feel like you have to go through them alone, find a community, whether it's online, whether it's on a more clinical, personal level, spiritual level, or just your friends and family that care about you and want to see you succeed. Definitely find a network or find somebody that will be of help to you. And I'm sure they're there and they actually want to help you. And they probably see you going through this. Oftentimes we're kind of the last to know that we're dealing with this crossroad. So definitely reach out to people. Again, thank you so much for watching our hardcore Ray's Talk Show Blab watchers in particular. I always appreciate you, care about you, and I love collaborating with you. And for those that watch on replay, whether it was on our social media live streaming platforms or on the podcast version, thank you so much for listening to Ray's Talk Show, watching Ray's Talk Show, interacting with us, and have a wonderful day, and embrace that crossroad of life.